This is Learn English with Ease.
English made powerful, simple, and yours.
You know, Emma, there's something magical about sitting down in a restaurant. It's not just about the food, it's about the little human connections that happen around the table. Have you noticed how some people instantly make the waiter smile, while others struggle to even order without sounding stiff?
Oh, absolutely, Jack. And here's the thing. Most English learners are taught the basics. I'd like the chicken, please, or can I have some water? But nobody really shows them how to bring personality into those moments. How to joke a little, how to flirt playfully if the mood is right, or simply how to make the waiter feel good so the entire experience becomes warmer. And I'll be honest, I used to be terrified of that.
Same here. I remember when I first moved abroad, I felt like a robot reading lines from a menu. My sentences were correct, but the energy wasn't. The waiter would just nod, take my order, and leave. But then one day, I cracked a little joke. Something tiny like, "I think I'm hungrier than your menu can handle." And suddenly the waiter laughed, leaned in, and the whole meal felt alive. That's when it hit me. English isn't just about words, it's about connection.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. How to flirt, how to joke, and how to make the waiter actually like you. Not in a fake way, but in a natural, warm way that makes you memorable. Because let's face it, language is more than grammar. It's about charm, about showing your personality, about making people feel at ease with you. And you don't need perfect English to do that. You need the right energy and a few powerful phrases.
And here's the beautiful part. When you learn this, you'll stop feeling like you're performing English. Instead, you'll start feeling like yourself in English. Imagine sitting at a restaurant, cracking a little playful line, watching the waiter grin, maybe even giving you extra bread or a bigger smile just because you made their day. That's when English starts feeling like a superpower.
Yes. And I want everyone listening to know this. Flirting in English doesn't always mean romantic. It's about being charming. It's that little sparkle in your words. A playful comment like, "Wow, you remembered my order better than I remember birthdays." That's not about romance. That's about connecting. And when you do this with waiters, baristas, or anyone in service, you build confidence. You feel braver, and then this confidence spreads into job interviews, friendships, relationships, everywhere.
So maybe let's paint the scene. Imagine you walk into a restaurant. The waiter greets you with, "Hello, how are you today?" Now, most English learners freeze. They either say, "Fine, thank you," in that stiff textbook way, or they mumble something and move on. But you could flip that moment into something delightful. You could say, "Well, I'm starving, but I think I'll survive if you bring food quickly." Boom. Instant laugh, instant connection.
Exactly. Or even something simple like when they ask, "Would you like some water?" Instead of just saying yes, you could grin and say, "Only if it's the magic kind that makes me smarter." They'll laugh, you'll laugh, and suddenly you're not just a customer. You're a person they'll remember. And here's the secret. People like people who make them feel good. The waiter will probably give you better service, maybe a free refill, or just an extra big smile.
And the beauty is, you don't have to be a comedian. You don't have to deliver a perfect joke. It's about being a little playful. Even if your English isn't perfect, even if you pause or mix words, the charm is in the effort. The waiter will notice that you're trying to connect, not just order. That's more powerful than perfect grammar.
Let's talk about the flirting side. Because a lot of learners ask, is it okay to flirt in English? Won't it sound awkward? The truth is, flirting is just light playfulness. If you say it with a warm smile and kind tone, it never feels rude. For example, if the waiter says, "How's your food?" you could lean in and whisper, "Don't tell the chef, but I think it's too delicious. I might never leave." That's cheeky, it's charming, and it creates a moment.
I love that. And notice how it's safe flirting. You're not crossing any boundaries. You're not saying anything uncomfortable. You're simply exaggerating playfully. That's what makes it fun. And this is something learners can practice. Exaggeration with humor. Instead of saying, "It's good," you say, "It's dangerously good. I might need someone to roll me out of here." It's painting a picture that makes people smile.
Here's what I learned too. When you bring this energy, people respond differently. Suddenly, waiters linger a bit longer at your table. They chat more. They remember your name. And the more you do it, the more confident you feel in English. It's like a muscle. Every little playful line you try is like a push-up for your fluency. And guess what? You don't have to wait until your English is perfect. You can do this right now with the English you already know.
That's the golden key. Waiting for perfect English is like waiting for a train that never comes. You don't need flawless grammar to make someone laugh. You need courage, presence, and a touch of imagination. Think about little kids. They make everyone laugh with simple words, funny faces, and silly comments. That's the spirit we want learners to embrace at restaurants.
And you know what? There's another secret benefit. When you make the waiter smile, you feel safe. Suddenly, the restaurant doesn't feel like a scary English exam. It feels like a friendly space. That shift in atmosphere makes speaking so much easier. You forget about mistakes because you're too busy enjoying the vibe.
Exactly. And that's why this episode is so powerful. Because when you learn to flirt, joke, and charm a waiter, you're not just learning restaurant English, you're learning life English. The kind that sticks with you in every conversation. And it's addictive. Once you taste that confidence, you'll never want to go back to stiff, robotic English again.
So let's dig deeper into the kinds of jokes, the kinds of flirty lines, the playful comments that actually work. We'll break down the tone, the delivery, and the mindset you need so that the next time you sit in a restaurant, you're not just ordering, you're shining.
So let's get practical. The first thing to master when you're trying to joke or flirt in English at a restaurant is tone. Your words are only half of it. The way you say them is what really creates the charm. If you deliver a playful line with a dead serious face, people might get confused. But if you soften your voice, raise your eyebrows, or add a little smile, suddenly the same words feel light, funny, and friendly. It's all in the delivery.
Yes, and I think this is what scares many English learners. They think, but my accent isn't perfect? Or, what if I say it wrong? Let me tell you, the waiter doesn't care about your accent or grammar. They care about your vibe. If you look relaxed, smile, and show that you're having fun, the charm will come through no matter what. In fact, sometimes your accent makes the joke cuter or more unique. It makes you stand out even more.
That's true. I once had a friend from Brazil who always exaggerated his accent when joking. He'd purposely roll his words in a funny way, and the waiters loved it. They would laugh even harder because he leaned into it. So if you're worried about sounding different, remember, different is memorable. That's what makes people like you.
And here's another tip. Don't overthink the joke. You don't need to memorize complicated stand-up comedy style lines. Start small. For example, if the waiter asks, "Would you like dessert?" you could say, "Only if you promise not to tell my gym trainer." Simple, right? Or if they bring you a giant plate of food, you could laugh and say, "Wow, I think you're trying to feed me for the whole week." These little exaggerations are easy to think of in the moment.
Exactly. Think about what you see in front of you, then make it bigger, funnier, or more dramatic. If the glass of water is tiny, you could say, "This is so small, I might need 10 of them." If the waiter moves quickly, you could smile and say, "Wow, you're faster than the internet." It's these tiny, playful comments that spark connection.
And don't forget, you can also compliment the waiter in a light way. If they remember your order, you can grin and say, "You have a memory better than my phone." Or if they make a recommendation, you can tease them by saying, "If this dish isn't good, I'm coming back to complain to you personally." It's half flirt, half joke, and it always works if you keep it warm.
Let's talk about flirting specifically. Because a lot of people hear the word and think it means being romantic or inappropriate. But actually, in English culture, flirting can just mean being playfully charming. For example, if a waiter says, "How are you today?" you could say, "Better now that you're here." That's classic, light flirting. It's not heavy or uncomfortable. It's just a way to add a sparkle to the interaction.
And you know what makes flirting easier? Pretend you're in a little movie. Imagine you're playing the role of someone confident and witty. When you step into that role, your brain stops worrying about mistakes. You're acting, and acting gives you freedom. You can try lines you'd never normally say. If the waiter laughs, you win. If not, you just smile and move on. Either way, you're practicing bravery.
I love that idea, treating it like a movie scene. Because here's the truth. Every time you flirt or joke in English, you're actually training your social muscles. You're teaching yourself not to be afraid of reactions. You're proving that you can survive even if a joke falls flat. And most of the time, people will laugh or smile because they see you're making an effort. Humans love effort.
And think about this. When you bring this playful energy, it's not just the waiter who feels good. You feel good. You feel like the main character of the story. Suddenly, English isn't a classroom subject. It's a tool to create laughter, warmth, and maybe even a little spark. And once you feel that, you'll never want to go back to cold, boring English again.
Exactly. That's why I always say, if you want to grow fast in English, stop practicing only the serious stuff. Yes, learn grammar. Yes, learn vocabulary. But also learn how to joke, how to tease, how to charm. Because that's the language that creates stories you'll never forget.
So let's build some ready-to-use phrases for our listeners. Imagine you're at the restaurant and you want to joke a little. What could you say? One classic is, I didn't know I was this hungry until I saw your menu. Another one, I might need a bigger stomach for all this food. These are simple, but they always get a smile.
Here's another. If the waiter asks, would you like anything else? You could say, yes, a lottery ticket, please. They'll laugh because it's unexpected. Or if they bring your dish quickly, you could say, wow, do you have a time machine in the kitchen? It's silly, but silly works.
And if you want to dip into light flirting, here are some safe, fun lines. If the waiter compliments your choice, you can smile and say, great minds think alike. If they bring something extra, you can say, careful, if you spoil me like this, I'll keep coming back. Notice how these aren't heavy or uncomfortable. They're just warm, playful comments.
Yes, and the best part is, you don't have to memorize all of these. Once you get the feeling, you'll start inventing your own. That's when English becomes creative. And that's the moment you stop being a student and start being a communicator.
Exactly. Because connection is the goal, not perfection. Every joke, every playful comment, every little flirty line is a tiny bridge you're building between yourself and someone else. And the more bridges you build, the freer you'll feel in English.
You know, Emma, the more we talk about this, the more I realize how powerful these little restaurant interactions really are. They're like mini training grounds for life. If you can flirt, joke, and create warmth with a stranger in just a few seconds, then you're building the exact same skills you'll use in friendships, relationships, and even professional settings.
That's so true. And I think learners underestimate this. They imagine that English confidence will come from studying long lists of words or drilling grammar endlessly. But real confidence comes from these tiny, brave moments. From smiling at a waiter and saying something playful. From hearing their laugh and realizing, hey, I can actually make someone feel good in English. That changes your entire identity as a speaker.
And let's be honest, not every attempt will land perfectly. Sometimes your joke will confuse someone, or they might just nod and walk away. But here's the secret. It doesn't matter. You didn't fail, you practiced, you built courage, and the next time, you'll deliver the line with a little more sparkle, a little more timing. That's how fluency is built. Not in silence, not in fear, but in action.
Yes. And when it does land, when you see that waiter chuckle, when you hear that playful reply back, it's electric. It's the kind of moment you remember for days. And every one of those moments adds up, piece by piece, until suddenly English feels like a part of you. Not something you're borrowing, not something you're forcing, but something natural and alive.
So maybe we can end with a little challenge for everyone listening. The next time you go to a restaurant, don't just order. Don't just say the minimum. Try adding one tiny playful comment. When they bring you water, say, my favorite drink. When they ask how the food is, say, dangerously delicious. When they take too long, smile and say, I thought you forgot me. I was about to send a search party. Keep it light, keep it warm, and just see what happens.
And here's the best part. You don't have to get it right. You don't have to be perfect. Even if you stumble, even if your grammar is messy, the energy will shine through. People remember how you make them feel, not whether you use the past perfect correctly. That's the gift of charm. That's the magic of humor.
Exactly. Because English isn't just a school subject, it's a tool for human connection. And connection is built on smiles, laughter, and warmth far more than perfect sentences. If you can master the courage to joke, to flirt a little, to add your personality into the conversation, you'll never feel like a silent outsider in English again. You'll feel alive in it.
And maybe that's the lesson of this whole episode. Don't just speak English, play with it. Bend it, twist it, exaggerate it, laugh with it. Treat every waiter, every barista, every stranger as an opportunity to practice being your most charming self. Because the more you play, the more fluent you'll become, not just in language, but in life.
And who knows? Maybe your little joke will not only brighten the waiter's day, but also inspire them to treat the next customer with more kindness. That's the ripple effect of charm. It starts small, but it spreads. And it all begins with you daring to say something more than, "Fine, thank you."
So here's our final invitation. Go out there, order your food, and sprinkle a little humor on top. Add some sparkle. Be brave enough to flirt with life through English, and watch how the world responds.
Because in the end, the best English lesson isn't about textbooks or tests. It's about making someone smile and realizing you had that power all along.